Roughly 1 out of every 5 barrels of oil the world burns passes through a single stretch of water a fast vessel could cross in about an hour. 20 million barrels a day, moving between the coast of Iran and the coast of Oman, through a passage about 21 miles wide at its narrowest point. For decades, that fact has made military planners and energy ministers deeply uncomfortable. And for just as long, they have been promising a solution. Pipelines across the desert, ports built on the far side of the danger, a way out. Beginning in late February 2026, that promise was finally tested for real. The Strait of Hormuz was effectively closed to most foreign shipping, not for a headline, but for weeks. And the escape routes that were supposed to save the world's oil supply revealed exactly how little they could carry. So let us walk through why 40 years of plans to replace the Strait of Hormuz all quietly failed, and why the map keeps winning. To understand the failure, we have to go back to where the fear began. The narrow waters of the Persian Gulf during the Iran-Iraq War in the 1980s, when oil tankers were being attacked on their way to sea. Saudi Arabia looked at the situation and saw its entire economy hanging on one waterway it did not control. So in the early 1980s, the kingdom built something enormous. The East-West pipeline, known as Petroline, opened in 1982. A dual line of steel running roughly 1,200 kilometers, all the way across the Arabian Peninsula, from the Abqaiq oil processing complex in the east to the Red Sea port of Yanbu in the west. On a map, it looks like the perfect answer. Oil enters in the east, crosses the desert, and reaches the Red Sea without ever passing Iran. Problem solved. Except here is the detail that everything else depends on, so it is worth slowing down. Petroline was never large enough to reproduce every barrel Saudi Arabia could push out through its Gulf terminals. It took pressure off Hormuz. It never took Hormuz off the map. The United Arab Emirates built its own version, just smaller. The Abu Dhabi crude oil pipeline runs around 380 kilometers from the inland Habshan fields to the port of Fujairah, which sits on the Gulf of Oman, on the safe side of the strait. It opened in 2012, and it can move roughly 1.8 million barrels a day. So here is the picture the world told itself for 40 years. Saudi Arabia has a giant pipe going west. The UAE has a pipe going to Fujairah. Iraq has a line running north to Turkey. Between them, surely, the Gulf can route its oil around Hormuz if it ever has to. It is a comforting story. It is also, when you actually add the numbers together, not close to true. Let us do the math the reassuring version always skips. The Strait of Hormuz normally carries around 20 million barrels a day. Saudi Arabia's Petroline, even after decades of upgrades, tops out near 7 million. The UAE's line to Fujairah, roughly 1.8 million. Iraq also had a northern outlet through Turkey to the Mediterranean, but when flows resumed during the crisis, that route carried only around 170,000 barrels a day, with plans to push it toward 250,000. Tiny, next to what Iraq normally ships out through the south. Add the major operating bypasses together, and their theoretical pipeline capacity reached roughly 9 million barrels a day. But pipelines were never the whole system. Once you factor in port limits, the refineries that take their cut, those limited Iraqi flows, tanker availability, and security risk, the practical bypass number came out closer to 6 or 7 million barrels a day, against 20. That is the gap that 40 years of construction never closed, which means even at their realistic best, all the pipes combined could still only carry a third of what normally leaves the Gulf. And that is before we get to the part almost nobody talks about, the part that turns a bad situation into a structural one. Because it turns out, the pipelines were not the only bottleneck. If you are finding this breakdown useful, take a second to subscribe. We map the choke points and the hidden decisions behind global conflicts every week, And this next part is exactly the kind of detail that gets left out of the headlines. Here is what the 2026 crisis exposed. Petroline can move up to 7 million barrels a day through the pipe itself. But a pipeline does not sell oil. A port does. And the oil coming out the western end of Petroline has to be loaded onto tankers at Yanbu, on the Red Sea coast. Yanbu can handle more than 4.5 million barrels a day, but before the crisis, it had rarely loaded more than 2.5. So even when the pipe was running strong, the far end of the system could not push out the kingdom's full Gulf export load. It gets tighter still. Of the 7 million barrels the pipe can carry, only around 5 million are actually available for export. The rest goes to Saudi Arabia's own Western refineries. So the real headroom was smaller than the pipe's capacity ever suggested. When the strait was cut off in early 2026, this is what played out in real time. Saudi Aramco ramped Petroline hard. By March 9th, throughput had reportedly reached about 5.9 million barrels a day and was climbing toward full capacity. Yanbu loadings more than doubled from February levels. On paper, the system responded. But even that surge could not replace the millions of barrels that used to leave through the Gulf terminals. Saudi production fell, partly because offshore fields were shut, and heavier crude grades were hard to move. And elsewhere in the Gulf, especially in Iraq, storage tanks filled until producers had no choice but to shut in output. The thing every oil economy is built to never do. The escape routes carried some risk exposure with them too. Saudi Arabia's western outlet at Yanbu sits on the Red Sea, where Houthi forces have already shown they can strike commercial ships. So routing crude away from Iran near Hormuz can mean routing it straight toward a different threat near the Red Sea. The bypass does not erase the danger. It just trades one flashpoint for another. So what about the new plans, the ones being fast-tracked right now? The UAE is accelerating a second pipeline that would roughly double its export capacity through Fujairah, toward 3.6 million barrels a day, with completion targeted for around 2027. It is real, it is serious, and it is being built at speed. But look at the scale honestly. Another 1.8 million barrels a day helps the UAE enormously. Against a 20 million barrel gap, it is meaningful insurance for one country's revenue. It is not a replacement for the strait. No single project on the table changes the fundamental arithmetic. And that is the quiet lesson underneath 4 decades of concrete and steel. This was never an engineering failure. The engineers built vast pipelines, converted existing lines to carry crude, and expanded capacity after each new crisis. Every one of these routes was built to reduce the Gulf's dependence on Hormuz, and every one of them did. But reducing dependence and replacing the strait are two completely different jobs, and the second one was never actually possible. The infrastructure was a hedge. It was never a substitute for a waterway that the entire global economy funnels through every single day. Geography set the terms here, and geography did not move. Kuwait, Qatar, and Bahrain remain almost entirely dependent on Hormuz for their major energy exports. Iraq has that limited northern route through Turkey. Iran has been developing the Gore-Jask system on the Gulf of Oman, though its export terminal is still incomplete and nowhere near what would be needed to replace Iran's Gulf exports. But not one of those alternatives comes close to replacing what those countries normally ship out through the Gulf. You cannot pipe your way out of a position the map itself created. You can only reduce the pressure at the edges. Which brings us back to that 21-mile gap of water. For 40 years, the wealthiest energy states on the planet tried to build around it. And what they proved instead is how little can be done. The pipelines are real. The ports are real. The plans on the drawing board are real. But when you stack them against the volume that moves through Hormuz on an ordinary Tuesday, they all say the same thing. The world does not have a replacement for the Strait of Hormuz. It has a pressure valve, and a pressure valve only works if you believe the crisis will end.